Imagine this. An American political commentator declares, with utter seriousness, that Canada should just be part of the United States already. Meanwhile, Canadians sip their maple syrup-laced coffees and shake their heads politely, as only Canadians can. From coast to coast, they whisper, "Hey, sure bud," and the British, watching from across the pond, can barely contain a bemused chuckle. Today, we explore the absurd phenomenon of Americans who genuinely, sincerely, and boldly believe that Canada is up for annexation. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe, like my video, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next update. It's a notion that seems to crop up every few months in viral tweets, internet debates, and sometimes, horror of horrors, late-night cable news. The United States and Canada share the world's longest undefended border, a border lined with lakes, forests, and polite Canadians silently judging your audacity. Yet for some Americans, that border is just a suggestion, a polite guideline that can be ignored when ambition, overconfidence, or just plain folly strikes. This video dives into the hilarious, bewildering, and occasionally jaw-dropping ideas Americans have about annexing Canada. From historical misunderstandings to modern social media shenanigans, from viral memes to audaciously confident expert opinions, we'll examine it all. And yes, it's exactly as ridiculous as it sounds. Believe it or not, the idea isn't entirely new. Back in the 19th century, after the War of 1812 and several border skirmishes, some Americans genuinely flirted with the idea of adding Canada to the Union. Manifest destiny, the expansionist philosophy of the era, whispered into eager ears, why stop at Oregon or Texas? Why not the polite, peaceful North? Fast forward to today, and history has been largely forgotten, or conveniently ignored. Social media amplifies the voices of those who claim, in all seriousness, that Canada is America's hat or that nice northern province we should own. The Canadians, of course, continue their centuries-old tradition of being politely baffled, responding with a shrug, a sorry, and a quietly delivered apology for being themselves. And the British? Well, they watch with an amused mixture of schadenfreude and disbelief. After all, they once tried to do exactly this and failed spectacularly, so there's a certain poetic justice in witnessing Americans rediscover what empire never taught them. Canada is stubborn, independent, and politely unyielding. Today, the annexation obsession thrives online. TikTok videos, viral tweets, and even Reddit threads discuss why Canada should just be American. One viral clip shows an American influencer holding up a U.S. flag while standing on the border, captioned, "Soon, this will be ours." Comments explode with outrage, confusion, and Canadian humor. "Nice try, eh?" writes one commenter, summing up the collective polite disbelief. Americans often confuse Canadians with Americans who just live nicer. They see polite cues, universal health care, and legal maple syrup reserves, and conclude, somehow, that it's only a matter of time before annexation is not just inevitable, but practically inevitable. Meanwhile, Canadians keep apologizing for existing and politely suggesting they enjoy their independence. Thank you very much. British audiences watching these antics can't help but smirk. The irony is delicious. The Americans, so confident in their assumptions about borders, diplomacy, and geography, somehow forget that Canada is bigger than the continental United Kingdom, and they've never learned how to navigate it without getting lost or accidentally apologizing to a moose. One of the most amusing aspects of this misconception is the complete underestimation of Canadian geography. The United States is indeed large, but Americans often forget that Canada is just as vast, if not larger. From the icy expanse of Yukon to the rain-soaked forests of British Columbia, Canada is enormous, rugged, and not easily annexed by casual whim. Yet, videos persist of Americans proclaiming they could take Canada in a week if they tried. One influencer even posted a map, drawing cartoon arrows from major U.S. cities into Canada, as if this were a simple board game. Meanwhile, Canadians across the country shrugged, laughed politely, and went back to their hockey, poutine, and carefully monitored maple syrup reserves. The British, naturally, enjoy this as a masterclass in overconfidence. Centuries of empire failed to teach some things, and apparently, so does social media. Just when you think the delusion couldn't get any more absurd, consider this. Some Americans justify annexation with cultural similarity. The logic goes, Canadians speak English, watch American movies, eat burgers, and enjoy baseball occasionally. Therefore, Canada is practically a U.S. state in disguise. This reasoning is flawed, to say the least. Canadians watch their hockey with fierce pride, use unique spellings, and have a subtle but insistent sense of national identity. They are polite, yes, but also quietly stubborn. And yet, some Americans remain convinced that polite acquiescence equals submission, blissfully ignoring the vast cultural, historical, and political distinctions that make Canada proudly independent. Movies and TV shows rarely help. In Hollywood, Canada often disappears into a blurred North American landscape, doubling as America in countless films. This contributes to the illusion that Canada is just America's polite neighbor. Add viral facts from poorly researched internet threads and social media challenges like "How to Take Over Canada in 5 Easy Steps," and the myth becomes a self-perpetuating spectacle. Yet, Canadians continue to respond with patience, humor, and a sly sense of irony. British viewers, who understand the joy of quietly observing foreign overconfidence, can't help but feel a touch of glee. It's as if the world's most polite nation is winning by doing absolutely nothing. From coast to coast, Canadians witness Americans confidently misjudge their culture, geography, and diplomacy. And the humor is undeniable. Whether it's the idea that Canada owes the US, its allegiance, or the viral memes depicting Mounties politely resisting invasion, there's something irresistibly funny about watching overconfidence meet polite defiance. British audiences get a special treatment. After centuries of empire, territorial ambitions, and occasional failure, they can watch the Americans flounder with an ironic grin. Canada, after all, has resisted annexation from empires past and is unlikely to surrender to social media-fueled delusions anytime soon. So next time you hear someone claim that Canada should just join the United States, remember, Canadians will continue being polite, independent, and quietly amused. The Americans will continue being confident, bold, and spectacularly misinformed. And we, the observers, get to enjoy the absurd theater of it all. Canada is not a province, it is not a suggestion, and it is certainly not annexable by casual whim. It is a proud, sovereign nation, one that maintains its charm, politeness, and maple syrup monopoly with stoic determination. And that, dear viewers, is why Americans thinking they have the right to annex Canada is simultaneously hilarious, bewildering, and endlessly entertaining. Just when you thought Americans' delusions couldn't get any wilder, the internet proves you wrong. Some influencers have confidently posted strategic plans for annexing Canada, maps drawn with colorful arrows, timelines, and even step-by-step instructions. One viral TikTok claimed, "If we just take over the provinces in order, it'll be easy." Canadians naturally responded with polite screenshots of their passports and a calm, "Good luck with that, eh?" Then there's the infamous cultural ignorance angle. Some Americans genuinely assume Canada is basically the US, just with nicer weather, better healthcare, and more polite drivers. They comment on maple syrup stocks, Tim Hortons locations, and hockey teams as if these details grant them territorial rights. "We already do everything Canadians do." One bold online comment reads, "Blissfully unaware that politeness, self-governance, and independence are not transferable traits." And of course, geography remains the punchline. From Vancouver to St. John's, Canada spans almost 5,500 miles. Hardly the easy annexation some Americans imagine. Driving across the country would take a week, and that's without encountering moose, snowstorms, or countless polite but unmovable Canadians politely refusing to surrender. In short, Americans' annexation fantasies continue to amuse, bewilder, and entertain. Canadians sip their coffee, Brits chuckle from afar, and the rest of the world watches in polite disbelief. Because no matter how confident, how bold, or how viral these ideas go, one truth remains: Canada is not just up for grabs, and anyone who thinks otherwise is entering the delightful theater of absurdity.